gentleman from Indiana, Mr. Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General Allvin, after falling short in 2023 for the first time since 1999 in your recruitment goals, the Air Force is on pace to reach those goals for 2024. What changed?
Well, thank you for that, Congressman. We really attacked this aggressively when we saw the downslide happening, and we looked at several things. We looked at our policies to ensure that they were still relevant. We looked at some things that maybe we were being overly restrictive of, so we did a clean sweep of that. A couple things that were sort of as easy as falling off a log. Why, if you can decrease the time it takes to have someone who wants to be naturalized become a citizen, that attracts people in. If you can understand the height and weight measurement that was required to even be considered, and you can relax that to where it's consistent with the rest of the DoD standards, those are some simple things we did. But some other things that we're doing to follow up on that is we're ensuring that we can have the recruiters do more of the pounding the shoe leather time and not doing as much admin time. So there were several things we did, a little bit more targeted marketing, reaching out to other things. So it was really attacking on all fronts. And I think that, plus the fact that we're coming out of COVID and people are starting to wake up again and we're engaging. We put notes out to our wing commanders to get out to the community so people can actually see what their military can do for them. I think it was the compilation of all of those things that put us on the right path, and now we're making sure that we just don't rest on those laurels, and we're looking into the future to make sure we can sustain that.
Would you say the Air Force has loosened its standards?
I would not say loosened its standards at all. As a matter of fact, I'll give you the example. I talked about the body fat composition, and people think the body fat composition is a different standard. We had a body fat composition restriction before we'd even consider someone coming into basic training. Even though we'd advanced our basic training, better nutrition, better fitness, when we put those standards back to DoD standards, we enabled another 4,500 recruits to be able to come in. We have done longitudinal studies on those, and of those, only one did not make it all the way through. So we're making sure the standards and the quality sustain while we're actually opening the aperture to more Americans who can serve.
Different story for the Air National Guard. Still below our recruitment goals. What are we doing to fix it? Well,
the Air National Guard is also making gains. They had a little bit longer way to go. So part of the issue with the Air National Guard is we've had pretty high retention rates in the United States Air Force in the active duty, and some of that affiliation is how they get their numbers up as well. But they have increased 31% from over last year. So where last year they were well short, this year I think they're targeting to be within 5% of the goal. Their Air Force Reserves is going to be either within 1% or they're going to make the goal as well. So across the board, we're actually making progress.
Can you quantify how far off we are with Air National Guard?
The Air National Guard right now is on a path to be within 5%. Yeah, I get that. I got to get the exact what that raw number turns out to be, but they're within 5% of their goal.
Secretary Kendall, do you have any advice on what we can do to fix that, the Air National Guard recruitment numbers?
No, we've been working this very hard ever since we started realizing we were going to be below our target year before last. I'm going to give General Allvin a lot of credit. He ran a task force as the Vice Chief of Staff of the Air Force that addressed an awful lot of these issues. We also just put more resources at it. We have increased in our 25 request, we're increasing the amount of money for the Guard for recruiting. A lot of what we're seeing is just lack of familiarity with the military. People don't have the same exposure they once did. So we're trying to reach out and get into communities much more, make people understand what we offer. I think there's some misperceptions about that we're trying to fight against. I've never been terribly concerned about this because I've always felt that we had management tools at our disposal to address the problem, and if we just put more resources on it and were thoughtful, we were going to work our way out of it. And that's exactly what's been happening. So I'm reasonably comfortable with, I'm very happy with the progress we've made, actually, particularly with the active and the reserve, and the Guard's not very far behind. I think we're going to be okay on this.
Secretary, has the Air Force ever intentionally prevented itself from recruiting from children of military families or service members, veterans? Has that ever been an intentional
Not that I know
part of Air Force recruitment?
A lot of our people come in because they've experienced the military through their family life. So I think we have a fairly significant proportion of people that come from that background. We encourage that.
Yeah, you would agree, General?
Absolutely.
The biggest source of military recruitment are the children of military
Absolutely.
families.
That's right, Congressman.
So thank you. I yield back.